Well, this should be interesting. So, you know, I got a couple e-bikes already, and I have an electric scooter. And you saw, if you look at my other videos, there are a few brushed old school electric scooters converted to lithium. Anywho, this is a Voilamart brand 1500 watt hub motor, and it came with a bunch of goodies: the speed controller, throttle, hall sensor, brake levers, you know, whatnot. But here's the problem. He says a failed brake, disc brake, something, sheared off the wires. Well, the whole thing was 50 bucks, and it doesn't come with a display. I don't know if I need a display or if I can just get by with that. I have a couple 48 volt batteries already, so I thought, well, for 50 bucks I can mod one of the large 26-inch rear wheels that I've got, you know, bikes into an e-bike type thing. I've already converted one recumbent with 20-inch wheel front hub drive, but for 50 bucks I couldn't pass it up, and I thought it'd be a good video. I've never taken one of these hub motors apart, but I mean, can't be that hard. So that's the plan. Let's dig into it. I'm hoping that it's as simple as rip it all apart, get access to those wires, fish a new one through, resolder them, get them in there in a way where they won't rub anything and they're pinned down, and that everything all of a sudden works. So let's get it open and find out. I'm going to take all these screws off, and then I'll come back. Well, I didn't get that far that I already feel suspect, because just having the axle and the vise, nothing's touching down here. This should spin freely, more freely than that. So maybe the bearings are dry too. I don't know. Doesn't bode well. Hopefully it's not that the wires got pulled so hard that they ripped into stuff in the inside or pulled off further in. We'll find out. Okay, let's see what's in there. I haven't looked yet. Let me get a screwdriver. See what happens. Well, that doesn't want to seem to move. Oh, there, something happened. Easy. Easy. Oh. Well, hot diggity. Yeah, so the reason it won't spin right now is the magnets are sticking to the, you know, stator. Very little space in there, I can see now. I mean, very little. And I guess having that cover plate on is what officially centers it and pulls the magnets from contacting the stator, I guess it would be called. So the good news is nothing rubbed here, right? The windings look perfect. It's just the wire. So each one of these is going to have to get resoldered, and obviously I can't do it here. A, there's no tail of the wire sticking out, but B, even if I expose some in there, there's no room. There's no physical room to get the shrink tubing and whatnot on there. So they're gonna have to be pulled out this way carefully. And then I guess this, well, he said he had a spare wire. I don't see one. So I'm gonna use the existing wire, and it's just gonna have to be shorter. At least that's what I'm hoping is gonna work, because that way the colors match up. I don't have to know anything about anything. I can obviously see what color wire goes to what color wire. I'll make all the splices in here, and this is what I was hoping for. There's plenty of physical space, right? This has to spin and not contact anything. But there's a good ½ inch of space in here where you can put splices and then tie it down just like they did, so nothing rubs. So I don't think it'll be too bad, except for fishing that wire through there. And I don't know if the length of this will be a problem, but even if it is, well, there's what, 8 conductors. Even if you had a wire sticking out 6 inches over here and then you had to cut into it and make a bunch of solder joints and add in a length of wire, you could do it. You could make an extension, but this obviously will not function. We got to get new wires in there, so let's do that. I don't think I got to take this apart any further. I may though, because I want to see, just messing with my finger on this bearing. This one I can feel a thump thump thump, so the bearing does not feel good. I'll at least figure that out, see if I should replace the bearing. And I think I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So let me do that off camera. If I find something interesting, I will turn the camera on and show you. Well, I guess I can show you this part. I can't slide the stator up and off till the wires are out, so well, you can't quite see the tail sticking out like I can, and the bench isn't over there for me to show you, but you'll just have to trust me. I can see him starting to pull in. I guess we're just gonna have to get hold and give it some. Huzzah! Huzzah! Let me get a needle nose. Alright, don't break anything. Don't break anything. That's what I keep telling myself. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. Good. I don't think I put any undue strain on that. This is that spring material. You know, you can see it on the other end of the wire. I don't know if I can, I don't know what this big gappa. No telling what that nonsense is. We're just gonna cut them off clean and see what happens. Matter of fact, I'd imagine before I get too deep into this, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I have to solder the wires, period. Get those fished in there, but then let's get this all electrically hooked up and see if the throttle makes the tires spin. If it does, then we got a good e-bike kit for 50 bucks. I hope that is the case. Let's see what happens. I'm going to pull this apart somehow. Actually, maybe I can do it now. I don't think there's any reason that the stator can't come off, except there's a C-clip holding it. Let me get that off of there. I don't think I needed to do that. Then I started to think to see if I could pull it off there, but after looking, you know, why is it always in the wrong angle? Can you see that? It's a keyed shaft. Well, I don't know how tight that is on there, but it's more than finger tight. So perhaps I don't need to do that to mess with the bearing. In fact, then maybe I can't get the other side bearing out. But what I do have is, you know, from regular bicycle tools, a cassette extractor. So I'm going to, oh, do I got to pull the freewheel off too? I don't know. But I'm going to stuff my cassette extractor off of there and start digging in this side and see what happens. Okay, so here's where it's at. A couple things. I dug into the wire just to see. So we're gonna have to cut off probably 4 or 5 inches. That means that this has to be pretty close to the controller unless you make the wire longer. I think that will be just fine for this bike. The problem will be the throttle may have to get extended, but anywho, ain't worried about that. I put the C-clip back on because I'm trying to remove that cassette, and I was fooling with it, and this is slopping around and I don't like it because it's contacting the magnets as I work on it, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to zip tie this tail down so it doesn't get caught in the hub plate, whatever you call it. I'm going to put that back on here, screw it all down tight so I know that this motor is not contacting the stator, is not contacting the magnet parts. Then I can work on beating that. I think I know how to remove it, but it's goofy. Remove that freewheel and whatnot from the other side because we need to get at the bearings. So put the cover back on, keep everything protected and centered, because the only thing that ties this part rotating from the outside is this bearing and the one on the other side underneath the cassette. So I'm going to put it back together and get going. Okay, nightmare. I want to take this off. So a couple things. Shimano style hub tools, forget it. They don't fit this, whatever this Chinese manufacturer is. I have no idea who makes this. Voilamart sells it. I don't know who makes it. Anyways, none of the tools fit. So when you take this ring off, which is backwards threaded, by the way, right? It holds the ball bearings in. Yeah, I didn't know they were loose. They went sailing everywhere. I think I've collected all of them. Oh my God. This thing, see it's got ridges in there? Yeah, that's cute. I thought this tool was what was gonna fit it. No. So you can't slide it on over the axle either. It doesn't fit like it would over a regular bike because the axle's thicker for these e-bikes because they weigh so much more for the wheel. So none of my tools work. I can't find a manufacturer to tell who makes this thing. I can't get a straight answer just doing a search online of who makes these cheap kit hub motors. I have no idea. So the simple solution is shut up, put it back together. I don't think I lost any of the ball bearings. I think I need to just get this thing put back together, and it's going to have to work as is, as a 7-speed. I wanted to change this out to a 9-speed to put it on the intended bike that I was thinking about. Well, that's just not going to happen. So if I were to make this a true e-bike, now I got to get a new shift kit, at least a handlebar shifter for 7-speed shifter to accommodate that gear set, that cassette. So anyway, I buttered the bearing up in there. This is the other side of the motor. There was a little corrosion, but no big deal. I think everything looks fine. And it turns well enough. I'm guessing most of the resistance I was feeling is simply what you have to fight for a cheap hub motor, for the resistance of overcoming the magnetics, of spinning by all those magnets. So I don't know, but everything spins freely on the only thing that makes the outside spin independently from the inside is that bearing and the one on the other side. They've both been lubed up. I know this isn't rubbing. You could feel it if it was. It's not rubbing, but it doesn't like just spin super free. So I think that's just the magnetic effect of spinning all the magnets by. And I probably shouldn't have taken it apart that far. So anyway, we're getting back to the point. Let's put this all back together. Hopefully we didn't screw anything up or lose any ball bearings. I don't think so. Get that all back together correctly, knowing that at least it's been inspected and lubricated. Then we'll get back to soldering on new wires and testing it out. So I don't think I'm going to film any of that. I'm going to get it all back together. I might film some of the soldering and then we'll move on to testing. Okay, finding these ball bearings and sticking them in there in the grease is a giant pain in the ass. I don't recommend it. Just saying. That was a complete and utter waste of time. But it's done. Alright. You guys don't need to watch me struggling. But I cut the wires off. I slid this crappy spring up for some kind of, you know, rub relief. Well, that camera won't focus. Some kind of rub relief. I don't know if I'll be able to get it through there with the spring on it. They go through pretty easily without it, but we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna shove this through there, fish it out the backside. Where are you? Back there. And then get to cutting and soldering. Getting there. All wires exposed. Soldering iron ready. Well, let me get cracking. You know how to tell when you're getting old is you try to focus on tiny wires for soldering and your eyes just about refuse. Anywho, that's it. Now that I look, I'm going to put a zip tie as a strain relief on that so it can't pull tight for some reason. But that's it. Nothing's going to rub that way. It's all tucked down in there. I think we're good. Put it back together and get to testing. Oh my God. Where were you guys to help me? What's wrong with this picture? God. Like it never happened. You know what's funny? The joke's still on me. Because you got to get it to the center of the bearing, dummy. Oh my God. Alright. I guess I'm gonna the little releases. Oops, you can't see. I'm gonna get those wires to pull out of there and remember where they went, and then everything will fit. What a dummy. Just. Okay, update. Holy cow, am I dumb. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but oh my God. I kept thinking that bearing was bad, right? It's not. It spins freely. Here's the problem, because I'm dumb. See these? The phase wires for the motor, all three of these. If you short two of those leads out, let me see if I can hold this all in one hand. Do you see it now? Going thump, 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 thump. It feels like, exactly what it feels like if there was a, something in the bearing and the ball was skittling along on some rust or crud. All it was is, that's how strong the magnets and windings are. When those are touching and the wire just must have been laying close enough to touch, and you try to turn the wheel, it goes gunk, 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 like there's something wrong with the wheel bearings. Oh my God, there was nothing. And these self-centered the whole time. The magnets were never rubbing anything. So, dumb. But anyway, we're back in business. This is the bike this is going on. This is a recumbent bike. I really like those. And this is an extra one I got for my wife, thinking, well, she wanted a slightly different design than she had, but turns out she didn't like this one. Didn't care for it. So I could turn around and try to sell it, but I got this kit for 50 bucks, as I said. It now functions, so we're gonna put this on here somehow. But it's not like everything else, these recumbents, it's not a easy fit. But we're getting it. This is made for disc brakes. Of course, we're not using disc brakes. It's got V brakes, so it's kind of a tight squeeze in the frame. It does fit. I need to put one more spacer. I think there's enough flex in there. I can get one more spacer in. Just for fun. Here's the other silliness. So this particular model, I had to look it up, you can't put an LCD screen on it. Some of these you can't. You got to use what it comes with. It doesn't have the output. Well, this is what comes with this kit, and it does work. Everything works. So I say, well, it's a full-length throttle, so you can't use twist shifter. So I take the twist shift off, and it's 7-speed freewheel, not a free hub, so you can't just switch cassettes to the gears you want. So the back end needs to be 7-speed, which means the shift mechanism in the front needs to be 7. Well, you can't fit a twist grip on here because it's a full-length grip, and you can't fit trigger shift either very well because, well, partly I have an integrated lever, brake lever, and trigger shifters. Anyway, it's a comical struggle because I refuse to spend like the $12 it would cost to get the trigger shifters. Trying to keep this as no extra money spent except for, you know, the $50 kit. Anyway, it's getting to be silly, but fenders, stupid. They're coming off simply because the rest of the bike's not waterproof with the e-bike kit on it, so this will never get used in the water. That's coming off. And it makes room for putting one of those racks on it to hold the battery and the motor controller. So progress is being made, but mainly I wanted to mention if you get one of these and it's connected to nothing, no battery, nothing, but those 3 wires are hanging there and 2 of the phases are shorted, you will think you've got a bearing that's bad in the hub, because that's how strong those magnets and coils are in that motor. All right, let me get going here and get this thing hooked up. Okay, big progress being made. This is where we're at. I checked my stash. Can't believe it. I had one of those anti-torque. I was gonna use this and weld an arm on it. No need. I had one. It must have came with my other e-bike kit that I didn't ever use. So there's that. Anyhow, there's the item mounted. The seat's not on it. This is just temporarily velcroed on for testing, but just imagine it without the battery. The rest of the bike, I didn't think I could stretch the wires there, but they did make it. So they're zip tied all up along the frame, and we got action. So I think we got something. Gonna get the seat put on it. I already adjusted all the gears so the shift points are at least preliminarily correct. They don't go past the edge. They hit all 7 gears. And you can mostly reach the shift mechanism, even though the rest of the stuff's kind of pushing it too far that way. That side's got the 3-speed from some old bike I used to have, but it hooked up. It does function correctly too, so I think we're in business. Let me get this seat on there and see what happens. Okie doke, there she is. All systems go. I don't know what little hand power tool came in that, but whatever it is, the case is empty and not being used, so it almost is a perfect fit for that battery. It's padded enough to get the job done, so D for done. That's it. Real happy that that came back to life with the soldering. Everything finally got made to fit. This is the orientation. I put the anti-torque bar. It's got tons of power, at least goofing around in my basement it does. I haven't been on the road with it, but some of the spokes were loose. Tightened those up. Everything's true and happy, so heck yeah. Awesome. $50 e-bike kit, well, plus battery, which I already had, so can't wait to give it a proper test ride, but I'm not going to film that because, well, I'm camera shy and I don't feel like being on the camera. But hey, thanks for watching. See you next time. Update, tested it out. Just took it on a 7.5 mile ride, and I just wanted to see, because it's so much heavier, if it was any problem, and the answer was no. I never turned the electric on, wasn't needed. This was a flat route, so there wasn't any big hills that needed help anyway, but you know, I was able to almost maintain the same minimum speed as before, so real happy. Awesome. Thanks for watching.